Welcome back to the Mid-Year Mitch YouTube channel. In today's episode, we're working on the 65 Roadster behind me that we're turning from a wreck into a beautiful Restomod. So in this week's video, we're diving into the fiberglass. We have to do a bunch of floor repairs, firewall repairs, rocker repairs. We're dealing with the itchy fiberglass, so be sure to stick around. So now we're back in the garage on the Mellow Yellow Roadster here. In the last video, I put new rockers on it for the birdcage because they're rusty, and off camera I put a little patch down there, ground down all the welds, and dusted on some white paint. This car is going to become a Restomod, so now we have a solid foundation with the birdcage. Now it's time to start skinning it with fiberglass. Most of the car is going to be new. The floor pans and the firewall are going to be original fiberglass that I need to fix, and we have a whole new rear deck, new quarter panels, smooth firewall, and a custom rear floor, stock quarter panels, stock taillight panel, new bonding strips, a whole lot of stuff. But the very first piece you need to put on is the bonding strip that goes along here. It's like an L shape. It goes from the bottom of the windshield frame up to the top. This side glues to the firewall. This side attaches to the front end. Now this is the piece of cowl I have. I thought I had a good bonding strip on here, but it's missing the L that flips around here, so I don't have the part that glues onto the front end. So unfortunately, these pieces are pretty much useless. So I need to peel these off. I put an emergency order into Dynamic Corvettes, and they're gonna send me out a pair as soon as they can. So that is extremely helpful. Very nice to have those guys in my corner. But unfortunately, I can't start attaching fiberglass. But if you know what these parts are supposed to look like, this floor is short. It's missing most of the seat area. So what I'm gonna do, since these two kind of overlap, we're gonna cut them both in the middle. Between this, where the seat reinforcement is, there's this little bracket under here, which these ones are a little toasty, but we're gonna splice the floor in the middle of that one, because whenever we put this back, once we put this brace back in, that'll kind of hide our seam. It'll also stiffen it, and you'll never see it once there's carpet in here. The tunnel's gonna get modified regardless. So this whole back portion is going to be changed. So if you're wondering why I don't just start with a fresh floor, it's because we're going to have to cut this thing up anyways to fit the Roadster Shop chassis, an LS engine, and a 5-speed transmission. So I'm going to start working on that. The rockers need patched. We're missing chunks of those. And the firewall plenums are a little torn up. And unfortunately, this firewall is not attached to the floor as well as I thought it was. There's a bunch of screws holding it together, and it's kind of overlapped here. There's a lot of damage, so I need to start stripping this firewall down, remove the boot, these little brackets, get it smoothed up, so that way we can do some fiberglass repairs, and probably just on the back side, and on the front side we'll just use the smooth firewall kit just to fix all of this up. So I removed the firewall, the rocker pieces, the metal braces that go underneath the floor, and just any other random brackets. And I started trimming up pieces to get them to fit for the firewall. I came through with my body saw, stacked these two on top of each other, and made one cut. I lined them up with the hole for the seat and some of these other little holes in here just to get the alignment pretty close. Overall, the gaps are nice and tight. It's a little wide up there, but we're gonna fill all this in with fiberglass. So now I'm gonna taper this area at least this far, maybe a little further. We'll grind all this down, taper it, and then we'll lay glass around. I might not do this area because we have to make some modifications here for the tunnel anyways. So we're gonna go ahead and get all this glassed in to make this tunnel one piece. I made a good bit of progress fiberglassing this car back together. So I clamped the firewall in place and I lined up both of the side plenums that were detached with the bolt holes in the cowl. Got all that lined up, clamped into place, and I used the car to fixture all these pieces together. And then I fiberglassed the plenums on, fixed the bottom of this. I left a couple cracks here because I need to double check the floor fitment to make sure that we suck this in appropriately. This hole here needs to line up. And I started grinding off some of the paint to prep it for the smooth firewall. But I wanted to show you that I don't believe this car had a front end on it. This looks like pretty original glue. Look at all these big globs. I started grinding some of them off. But look at all these big globs that were just left here, which I'm assuming was the original glue. I mean, if I would do that in one of my videos, people would say I'm a hack and I'm a slouch. But if, look, it's there originally. So I have to grind all that out to get the smooth firewall in place. And I had an extra one of these bonding strips here. This was actually broken off and I was missing a whole chunk. So I just fiberglassed this bonding strip in place, put a whole bunch of mat in here, and that's real strong. That's a nice repair. And that gives us a good spot to glue our front end onto. I still have a lot of work to do on this firewall, but at least it's now in one piece. I also did a lot of work on the floor pan as well as the rockers. I did the same thing with the rockers, and I just laid the floor on the car so that way I could use the rocker to keep these two halves straight, and I could use the floor to make sure that the contour is correct. So I did that with both sides. Those are drying up, and then we'll fiberglass the back side, but we're just gonna let those cure up here for a bit. And then there were some patches we had to do on the rear deck, or the rear floor. So I flipped the rear deck on its back because we were missing some of the flanges in here. There were some holes and cracks. I also cleaned up the glue for the splash shields. And then I did this one as well. And then over here, I have a cross member, and I have two more cross members over here for convertibles. This would be the inside lip of your deck lid, or the deck lid would go into here. It's like the door jamb for that. And then you have your dome light bracket. All of these that I have are broken. This one has a good side. This one does not. This one is missing both sides, both ends, and then the one that I have over there is also damaged. So all these metal brackets are rusty, and we have a pile of stuff going to the powder coater. So I think I'm just gonna peel these steel brackets off, get them blasted and powder coated, and then I'm gonna make a mold off of this good side so I can use it to fix this one and the other one, and then I have one over there that has a good other side, and we'll use that other side to fix these ones. So I think they do reproduce these, but unfortunately I don't have a good one. I have three that aren't perfect, so I'm gonna start peeling these apart and trying to make molds and seeing if we can make one, three good ones instead of just one. So now that we have one side of the panels done, it's time to flip them over and do the other. So I need to prep all these areas where we have seams. Same with the floor. We'll lay up fiberglass across here. Same with the firewall. And we'll probably try and fix this little guy here and just get all this stuff buttoned up so that way it's ready to glue on the car. So I let this fiberglass cure up, and this turned out really nice. So I just need to do a little bit of trimming on some of these loose hairs and take out any material that's a little too thick in some areas. But these are ready to glue in. Now in the next video, we're gonna scuff all these flanges on the rockers, the floor, the firewall. All this stuff needs to be scuffed so we can start gluing it together. I did fix that one split in the middle of the firewall, so this is a pretty structurally sound piece. Even though there's a couple little cracks, that'll get fixed with the smooth firewall and then I'll do some fiberglassing later. Once all this is glued together, some of these small holes and little cracks and stuff, I'll fiberglass that together. This rocker to the floor will strengthen everything up. It'll be nice and solid. But all this turned out great. We have a lot of prep to do in next week's video. And the nice thing is a Dynamic Corvette got me these bonding strips, which again, these are super nice parts. And they, if you don't know how we do this, they go on here about like that. And this is the foundation to building your car. Now I also put an order in with Zip, and that came, they had one of these in stock. I am missing a plenum panel for the driver's side, so I got one. And this is a super nice part, and I got some other odds and ends to stock. So now I have to, in next week's video, we'll start putting this together. We'll get the firewall plenums on, firewall, floor, rockers, and maybe we'll start working on getting the rear tub attached with the dynamic floor kit. And I have to take some stuff to powder coating. So there's a lot of stuff to work on here, but the goal is to at least get the rear deck on this car for the following video, and then we have the split window to work on. We gotta get that front end on and get that car shipped out. So there's a lot of stuff to work on here, and I gotta clean the shop because there's stuff everywhere. So that's gonna do it for the fiberglass prep part of this. So now hopefully next week we'll just be able to do some sanding and start gluing everything together and turning this bird cage, which I've had pretty much looking like this since last Carlisle. It's gonna start looking like a car and coming together. So be sure to check that out in the future videos. And as always, if you enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And I have a lot of work to do, so I'll catch you guys later.